Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I certainly hope you're having a fine day. Exactly what this video is about is this guy right here. Well, this is just the box, but this is a Axis Flipper, a model 301, and the reason why you got the -1 is to designate with this blue-black G10 scales, because the model 300 is got brown G10 scales, or a handle, if you will. This is classified as an everyday knife. You can probably see that right there, everyday outdoor. And of course, this is the box it comes in. Benchmades are US made, for the most part, USA made knives. They're made in Oregon City, Oregon. Okay, let me get off on talking about this knife. So it's a manual knife. It's doesn't have anything to do with auto. I don't particularly, in my world I live in, I don't particularly care for autos, but that's neither here nor there. But let me close this. You can see this part of the knife right here where my thumb's at is why it's called a flipper, because the whole idea is you do that. Now, if you kind of aggressively, stroke along this, you can get that to open up, but I got limited space here between me and my camera, so I have a little trouble here getting this. There we go. I find that if you use just a little centrifugal, just a little bit of a flip, along with stroking on this metal right here, or this tit right here, there we go. I'll just leave it at that. That she'll open up just fine. Okay, now right off the get-go here, let me turn this around. This has got 154 cm steel in it. And there's a little etching right here that says custom made knives by Benchmade. And over here, of course, on this other side, they've got the Benchmade logo. And if you can see that right there, right underneath, it says 300, designating the model. This is a 300 Axis Flipper, like I say. And of course, this is the famous patented access lock right here. Okay, let me read off a few little figures here for you. The Rockwell hardness on this blade here is 58 to 61 on the Rockwell hardness scale. This blade from this tip right here to here is 3.18 inches, and the blade thickness right in here is 13/100ths of an inch, which is kind of thick for an EDC, I'd have to say. But this knife might look kind of clunky, and it might look like this handle's weird, but believe you me, it's not. This is a fairly light knife, and it fits you ergonomically very well there. At least it does me. Okay. The open length on this guy right here from tip to the rear of the handle here is 7.36 inches. The closed length on this guy right here is 4.25, 4¼ inches. And the handle thickness right in here is 0.59 inches. In other words, approximately 1/2 inch, a little bit more than 1/2 inch. Okay? And then, of course, like I say, this is G10, blue-black G10 on the scales, and you might want to take a look at that sculpting, if you will, that ribbing, because the wood-looking one, or the model 300 with the brown G10 handle, it's sculpted a little bit different. Matter of fact, it doesn't have this cutout right here, and it's just sculpted different. Okay, this clip right here, ladies and gentlemen, is a deep sinker. In other words, this will go into your pocket, and only about 1/4 inch, if even that, of this G10 handle is sticking out. And of course, it's a tip up. In other words, the tip of the knife is up while this is sunk into your pocket. And it's reversible over to this other side, but you can't put it on this end here. This knife right here, ladies and gentlemen, will run you about $150 or so, but in my humble opinion, Benchmade makes some of the best folding knives on the face of this planet. Simple as that. I'm not a real big fan of folding knives because I've had so many of them fall apart on me. But I can almost guarantee you will have zero problems with this knife. Now, one of the reasons why I bought this is specifically because, not because of the flipper action so much or any of that, because you can open it up, you know, with the thumb studs or, you know, old school style by just opening it up like that. But if you'll take notice, because of this metal in here, it not only acts as a finger guard, see that? But you get more metal in here. More metal underneath these scales. And it makes for a really sturdy knife, in my humble opinion. Okay? Now, it's got liners in here. I'm not quite sure if they're, I think they're stainless steel, but they're blackened. You got 3 spacers right there. There's 2 of them. The third one is right there. And I don't know what else to talk about. $150 on this guy here. Most places, you know, you're gonna have. That's one thing about Benchmades. They don't give them away. But then again, this knife is highly recommended by me. It's got a real good shape to it. Let me just set it down and shut up because I basically covered about everything I need to. Let me stick that box right there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, by the way, I did nick my finger. Didn't set up for this because, like I say, this knife is very, very sharp coming out of the box. Very well. Thank you very much for watching the video. Have a nice day.